Wrestling companies that tried something new but quickly abandoned it. Number 10. The Raw Robot. The WWE are prone to trying new technologies and concepts on their shows, and in 2021 on Raw, WWE debuted the Raw Robot. The Raw Robot was in essence a 3D robot that would appear on the screen, and the incredibly muscular robot would then point towards the graphics and information. It was an unusual visual, and it didn't exactly add anything meaningful to the show. The robot would disappear from screens before fans knew it, and whilst 3D graphics continue to be used on TV, the robot is a thing of the past. Number 9. Referee cameras. During their celebrated years, WCW introduced numerous ideas that have aged like wine. In the early 90s, WCW introduced a concept known as referee eye cam. Basically, this saw the referee wear a helmet with a camera on it during matches. Whilst this may sound silly on the surface, the concept worked quite well, and it helped fans at home see the action when WCW presented the widely popular War Games match. The concept was a strong one, yet there was an issue with how the referee looked, as he obviously looked kinda bizarre with a camera strapped to their head. Even though the concept eventually died out, and quite quickly, it was replicated by the CML promotion in 2000s, so WCW's referee camera concept certainly left a lasting impression on the pro wrestling industry. Number 8. The WWE App. There was a time in which WWE heavily relied on any type of digital social engagement. Between 2012 to 2014, WWE were convinced that the WWE App was the best app in the entire world. They put so much effort into delivering exclusive content for the app, which was a smart move as apps were becoming a huge part of the way people use technology. The issue was that the app rarely ran smoothly, and the digital content WWE provided wasn't exactly must-see. They often began to show what was happening during the commercial breaks between Raw and SmackDown on the app, and this was a move that had great potential, yet it was unclear how the app was generating extra revenue for the company. Eventually, the WWE app slowly fizzled out in terms of having exclusive content attached to it. Whilst the app still exists today, it's mainly used as an extension of WWE.com and rarely features new and exclusive content. For fans in the UK and Europe, the app is mainly used to access the WWE network as well as read the latest news and access early ticket information for upcoming events. Number 7. Tout. WWE was so adamant in the year 2012 that Tout was going to be the next Facebook or Twitter that they struck a deal with the infamous social media network. In the summer of the aforementioned year, WWE formally announced the investment and partnership in an official statement which read, WWE announced today an investment in strategic partnership with Tout Industries Inc. that will leverage WWE's vast array of assets including TV, live events, digital, print, and more than 100 million social media followers to expand Tout's platform for real-time video status updates, creating a new dynamic social media experience for fans. Tout was a video platform, and WWE became so obsessed with the platform that it noticeably began to irritate the fanbase. WWE would have their talent cut brief promos to promote upcoming matches on the app, and all fans would ask was why on earth these promos couldn't be uploaded to Facebook or Twitter, which was the social media platforms that people use actively. They persisted with the partnership until around 2014, and gradually they began to stop posting on the platform altogether. Tout would even stop being referenced across all WWE programming. The Tout company itself would dissolve in 2019, and it was rumored that WWE invested up to $5 million in their failed social network. Number 6. WWE's questionable graphics. The graphics are a key part of a wrestling company's presentation, yet between 2017 to 2018, they had a completely wrong idea when it came to the visual medium. They began to use new graphics for wrestlers such as Shinsuke Nakamura and the Usos, and these graphics looked truly shocking. For Nakamura's entrance, they would lazily plaster the word Rockstar on the screen, and it added absolutely nothing to what was already an iconic entrance. When it came to Jimmy and Jey Uso, whenever they cut a promo and used the phrase "locked down," jail bars would appear on the screen. This was an incredibly unflattering visual, and it did little to further the Usos' characters. It goes without saying that one of the issues with these graphics was the literal nature of them. The WWE audience weren't incapable of grasping the fact that lockdown was a reference to jail, so it was unfortunately another case of the WWE misunderstanding the intelligence level of their core audience. These graphics would thankfully be short-lived, and the graphics in question are often mocked and referenced on social media by WWE fans. Number 5. The 2 out of 3 Falls Era. The WWE product in 2019 was failing to capture the attention of the masses, so they implemented a number of changes to make the TV product as attractive as possible to casual viewers. One of the new concepts that was introduced was the idea of delivering a 2 out of 3 falls match virtually every week on Raw and SmackDown. Another reason why this was introduced was because Vince McMahon wanted all TV matches to end within the same segment, and PW Insider offered some insight back in 2019 to McMahon's rationale. A new Vince McMahon edict for WWE TV is that all matches are to end within the same segment and not run over the course of multiple segments. The edict went into play as this past week's Raw, which is why a number of matches were so short. The exception to the rule, as we noted, are matches with multiple falls, as each fall would take place per segment, which is why Kofi Kingston completed multiple fall matches on Raw and SmackDown. They overdid the 2 out of 3 falls match concept to such an extent that fans became sick of the match type. Unique match types such as a 2 out of 3 falls match should be kept special, and doing a match of this nature on a weekly basis was inevitably going to get old, and it did extremely quickly. Number 4. The TNA Ranking System. One of the main ideas that Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff had for TNA when they arrived in 2010 was a concept that would see TNA introduce a weekly ranking system. On paper, this was a decent idea, that's if TNA could handle and present it in a legitimate and compelling way. TNA declared that the top 10 rankings were made up of fan votes, wins-loss records, and influence from a newly established championship committee, which is Hogan, Bischoff, and Dixie Carter. The wrestler at the top of the rankings will be named as #1 contender for the TNA World title, and on the first week of the fan vote, fans voted in their thousands for Desmond Wolfe. It's worth noting that Wolfe was one of TNA's top heels at the time, and TNA had a tough task explaining why fans would vote for a villain over a likable babyface. It turned out that the fans were allowed an infinite amount of votes on the online voting system, and this meant that fans were spending hours consistently voting for Wolfe. TNA became increasingly frustrated that the names they wanted to win the fan vote weren't coming out on top, and this frustration translated over into weekly booking as names such as Wolfe were squashed in their eventual world title opportunity as a clear message to the audience. The ranking system would slowly fizzle out after Bischoff and Hogan no doubt realized giving fans any type of power could result in an end product that wasn't exactly in line with their creative direction. Number 3. The Electric Chair. No, not that WCW electric chair, but the electric chair was a loosely unscripted segment featuring Sami Zayn and Corey Graves. The segment, which looked to be a regular feature on Raw, saw Sami Zayn sit in an electric chair and take fan questions. The segment could have been used to develop characters up and down the roster, yet before fans knew it, the concept was dropped. The segment infamously saw Zayn hilariously name-drop AEW, and whilst it was reported that McMahon pre-approved Zayn name-dropping the rival promotion, the reaction towards the name-drop was eventually enough for Vince McMahon to lose interest in allocating any more resources towards the fresh concept. Number 2. Post-match interviews. The WWE have always been reluctant to fully embrace sports-centric elements when it comes to their product. Vince McMahon always likes to state that WWE was purely entertainment, and any pitches that took a focus on athletic and pure wrestling elements of WWE were often pushed aside. One time McMahon was on board with a sports-style pitch from WWE Creative was following the brand split in 2016. They began to implement post-match interviews just like it's seen in all major sports. Sometimes a winning or losing wrestler would be interviewed immediately following their match on the outside of the ring, and this was the perfect opportunity to tell a more compelling story. This was even used when Finn Balor pinned Roman Reigns on Raw. Reigns was interviewed following his loss, and he gave Reigns a ton of character development, and this was key character development that fans were crying out for at the time. These interviews stopped incredibly quickly, which was a massive shame, as they were fantastic and it was never explained why exactly WWE made the call to stop the idea, but it was likely that McMahon wasn't happy with what was being delivered. And number 1, Tuesday pay-per-view events. Traditionally, WWE have booked their pay-per-view events to take place on a Sunday. Sunday for decades was seen as the best day to hold a wrestling pay-per-view, however in recent years this has since shifted to Saturdays, and this has been a move that has received overwhelmingly positive feedback from fans. What fans may not be aware of is that in the early 90s, WWE truly believed that Tuesday was going to be a new primary day for pay-per-view events. WWE would debut this Tuesday in Texas pay-per-view, and the event had a stacked lineup, and the show was main evented by Hulk Hogan vs The Undertaker for the WWE title. Unfortunately for WWE, the show flopped in a major way. The pay-per-view reportedly did a lackluster amount of pay-per-view buys, and this led to significant disappointment within the company, and any plans to use Tuesday as a new pay-per-view day were scrapped immediately. Fast forward to 2004, and they would debut yet another Tuesday pay-per-view event titled Taboo Tuesday. This allowed fans to vote on what matches they would like to see, and whilst the concept was unique and game-changing, the pay-per-view taking place on a Tuesday didn't translate to dollar signs for WWE. The inaugural pay-per-view event had just 3,500 fans in attendance and a buy rate of 174,000. The questionable business results aside, they would try again the following year and the buy rate remained the same, and this led to WWE changing the name of the event entirely. The formula of the Taboo Tuesday event would remain in place, however it would now be called Cyber Sunday, and obviously the pay-per-view would take place on a Sunday. This turned out to be a marvelous decision from WWE, as a 2006 edition of the show attracted 228,000 pay-per-view buys, which is a notable increase compared to the respective buy rates of Taboo Tuesday events. But there you have it folks, wrestling companies that tried something new but quickly abandoned it. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.